new polling from the Trafalgar Group shows a majority of Americans are opposed to the reported payments to migrants. 67% of respondents saying no, just 19% saying yes. Joining us now to discuss is the chief pollster and founder at the Trafalgar Group, Robert Cahaly. Robert, what do you make of these numbers? What are your takeaways?
Well, the first thing is when the 67% came out, everybody was on social media. It was like, there's 33% that approve of this. So I'm glad you clarified how many of them were undecided, because that was the first thing that came up. People couldn't believe there were that many. No, it's across the board. I mean, it's not just Republicans and it's Democrats and independents. As the vast majority feel very strongly that this is a very bad idea. And certainly this is one of those things where they might think they've made the case for it, but if they're going to do something like this, it needs to be explained much better to the public than it has been.
Yeah, there are a lot of questions, including the questions that reporter was asking about who would qualify for these payments, whether or not they had chosen to be separated, how long their separation would have lasted, and then, of course, what amount, dollar value, are we talking about here? We still don't have the questions, and we're seeing deflection from the White House to the DOJ. Let me ask you about another Trafalgar Group poll. It asked if President Biden and his administration should close the border until a solution is reached. We know we've seen record crossings. 55% of respondents saying yes, 32 said no. I'm going to guess the rest are undecided. But is the White House out of touch with what Americans want regarding dealing and addressing with this ongoing border crisis?
I think that's their number one problem. Is it is like they have walled themselves off, and either they're not listening to what surveys say or they just don't care. But what the opinion of the average American is just not even on the radar screen of concern. People are very concerned about the border. I mean, you mentioned a story before us about pipelines. I mean, these are the things we hear about every day. You know, pipelines, the price of gas, inflation, the border, what happened in Afghanistan, all this stuff. We very rarely hear people very upset about climate change, but yet that seems to be their singular focus, and it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Well, it is important enough to book a trip to Scotland for the big climate summit, where we saw the president, what was it, just last week? We have not seen him travel to the U.S.-Mexico border. Speaking of the border, another poll asked Americans if migrants should be able to sue the federal government. 66% saying no, 17% saying yes. Your thoughts and takeaways on this polling?
Well, this goes to this idea of what does it mean to be a citizen? Some of the rights that you have as a citizen, the rights to seek compensation when you've been wronged. I mean, do these exist for non-citizens? And that's an important question that you could establish a precedent for with some of these suits. And that's kind of what we're hearing from people, is that they think it sets a bad precedent. You know, they say, you know, just people think about people feel like they have to have extra insurance in case somebody were to be walking through the neighborhood and get hurt in their lawn. I mean, that's ridiculous too. But this idea that there's some kind of rights being established for people who aren't citizens, who aren't even here legally, it bothers people a great deal. Especially one of the, this was actually during our New Jersey poll. One of the guys said, if something is very wrong when Tunnel to Towers has to raise money on TV and we're giving money to illegal immigrants for breaking the law.
Yeah, the $450,000 is more than what 9/11 victims and families were awarded at, $100,000.
That was his point.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know what, that resonates. And again, we're seeing that with the polling. Robert Cahaly joining us on the program, breaking down those numbers. Robert, thank you very much.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.